There are a lot of different ways to achieve whatever the economic goals and the strategic goals of the business and align them. So this is Michelle Taitz. She's new to the firm. She's been here 2 months, 3 months?
2.5.
Okay, so I'm in the ballpark, 2-3 months. I actually have known Michelle several years. We live in the same neighborhood, and our kids are friends. So we have a little bit of a background outside of the firm. But perhaps, Michelle, you can explain how you got to Cohen Pollock.
I work in estate planning and probate, and I actually used to work for Claire Matson, who is also at the firm. So I've been working in estate planning for a bunch of years, but when I heard there was a position here and I could work with Claire again, I was really excited for that time.
Yeah, there was a buzz around the office also in the weeks leading up to your arrival. Claire and Claire's paralegal,
and
Ava.
Yeah. Right. Super happy to be with Ava again.
We work with them closely, and they were both super excited to get you back on board. What would you say are like some common misconceptions that clients have around estate planning?
I think the common misconceptions are that people don't need an estate plan unless you have substantial assets, or unless you're a certain age and are really far in your career, and that your kids or your spouse will get anything anyway, so it's not that important.
I do not have substantial assets, and I'm early in my career. Am I a good candidate for estate planning?
Definitely.
How can you help someone like me?
Well, not even like unrelated to assets. I think everyone 18 years old and up needs a financial power of attorney and an advance directive for healthcare. Those, come into effect sometimes for convenience, but also in case of incapacity, which could, God forbid, happen to anybody. And if you have kids, you'd like to have a say in who their guardian or conservator would be, and you definitely want to avoid having any assets passed to them directly so that they won't need to have a conservator appointed. How often would you say that, our practices overlap?
I think it's actually really common. It's oftentimes when there's an estate plan, there is a business interest involved. So recently we had one where we had a former client who passed away, and they held an interest in an LLC, and we had to pass that LLC according to the estate plan documents onto the next generation or the designated beneficiary who's going to receive that interest in the business. So that's actually a very common occurrence that happens, anytime that you have a member of an LLC or an owner of a business who has an estate plan and one of the triggering events takes place, whether that's incapacity or death as it was in this case. So very, very common occurrence. So, relative to a business interest, when you're working out an estate plan, and this is something that we collaborate on a lot, the earlier in the growth of the business, you start thinking about, well, what's going to happen in certain scenarios in 10 years when I want to exit the business, in 30 or 40 years when it's time for the next generation to take over the business. The earlier in the process that you start to figure out how you see the future of yourself, your family, and your business, the better we can structure the whole scenario from a corporate standpoint, and also make sure that the estate planning documents align to allow for a smooth succession, which, when there are issues in succession, it can create all kinds of different impacts on a person's life and on their family life.
Right. I think as people evolve, sometimes their estate planning documents change, which is fine. A lot of them can be changed throughout your life. So you go through, various stages of your business, various stages of growing your family. So we do have long-standing relationship with clients where, we meet them earlier in life and we continue to help them plan as they age or as they get further into their career or building their family. So another area where we see the interlap between corporate law and estate planning is people that have businesses with a partner. And if they leave their estate to, let's say, their spouse or kids, now their spouse or kids might be partners with their business partner, which isn't necessarily, what either of them would have wanted or the best match. They might not have the same skill set. So it's really important to have a succession plan for your business as well, to make sure that your business can continue to grow and that, your shares in the company go to who you want them to go to, or have a buyout plan for your partner to buy out your shares in the event that one of you passes away, just to make the transition much smoother.
And there are a lot of strategies involved and tactics for how to achieve the goal. So, if the goal is for your own family to inherit part of a partnership that you've been working with your partner on for decades, and maybe the next generation doesn't have that skill set or that relationship to step into your shoes, but you want them to maintain what we call the economic interest in the business without the managerial component, there are a lot of methods to achieving that. One is to, for instance, have the beneficiary of the life insurance of the person who passed away be the company itself, and then the company would buy out their economic interest in the business, and that stays in the family, where the former partner becomes the sole owner, or the remaining partners can take over. That's one avenue of several. There are a lot of different ways to achieve whatever the economic goals and the strategic goals of the business and align them. So actually, yeah, the tactics related to the transition from one generation to the next in the form of a partnership, where life insurance proceeds, for instance, are going to be used as part of the buyout of a former partner, recently came up in a Supreme Court case where there was a significant tax event on the decedent partner who had passed away, because the business held the proceeds of the life insurance even for an instant, and then used it to buy out the decedent partner's share. That was actually a taxable event, which was a surprise to the estate, and they had to pay a nearly seven-figure tax bill that was unexpected. And they took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court confirmed that yes, this is correct. It's a taxable event when those life insurance proceeds go to the business itself for the purposes of the buyout. So, an appropriate buy-sell agreement would be used to prevent this sort of unexpected tax consequence.
Or we have a lot of clients that, let's say, have built up a business or work in a business with another family member or just a general partner, and they want to make sure that their business can continue on, and this legacy that they've built up will continue to grow even once they're incapacitated or pass on. And they also want to make sure that their family is taken care of. So it's really important to kind of understand their goals in the beginning, so we can try to create the correct documents to make sure what they want to happen will actually happen. And I think the more you plan in advance, the better off everyone will be, both the business partners as well as the family that remains after they pass away.
And on the corporate side, similarly, or perhaps differently, we deal with a lot of the issues that happen between living partners who are often members of the same family, or a living business owner who's considering what the next 10 years will look like, or the next 1 year will look like. They're considering exiting the business, and the impact that that's going to have on their family life is front and center in their planning. With my own experience with family business, often the business is just a vehicle to achieve the family's goals. And while it does stand apart as a separate entity, it ultimately is there as that vehicle for the owners to achieve their personal and family goals. So often when we as attorneys are consulted on the corporate side to do something tactical, like, we want to exit this element of the business, or we need a non-disclosure agreement with this potential employee, or we want to exit this lease. My first question is often, well, how does this factor into the bigger plan? Where is this in this bigger set of goals, and what are some of the tripwires that you perhaps know about that I don't know about as an outsider, that might concern other elements of the family and other members of the business, in order to craft the right strategic plan to not only accomplish that immediate goal, but have it advance the longer term goals, both personally and in the business.